I would like to say welcome to everybody on this inaugural call. So we decided to create this because so many people were asking for more information about what they can do for healing, to go deeper into quantum healing, to go deeper into, human evolution. And this is where Nedrra shines. When I met Nedrra 30 years ago, I did not know really anything, very, very, very little about this whole field. All that I know, she's taught me, and she's taught many other people along the way. So this class, however you want to call it, is really going to be about her sharing a lot more information. Welcome, Nedrra.
Give me a second. You're going to hear me say that a lot. Let me tell you why. Because my brain doesn't apparently act like most people. And that has happened as a result of the multiple strokes. I've had 2, and they've been extreme. And in case you haven't heard this, I had to learn how to comprehend both the written and verbal language, how to make sense, how to read and understand it. I'm okay now. Don't be alarmed. I'm okay now. Thanks to quantum healing. And so sometimes when I get too much in my mind, I need to stop, take a moment, and do the breathing exercise that we give you, that you have hopefully practiced in the past or recently. And it does wonders. The other thing that's a little different for me is I'm the clearest when I'm talking about metaphysics and quantum healing. For you guys, yay, right? So when I'm talking about metaphysics and quantum healing and human evolution, it comes from a different place, and it comes the easiest in my various forms of communication within myself and with others. So you'll hear me say, give me a second. And here's the good news about that. The thing that I said, I do, the breathing exercise, I've expedited it, I've condensed it, and you'll be able to do that for yourself after practicing. And it doesn't take, like we say, it takes a couple minutes. It takes me seconds. It's a result of practice. It's a result of decades. And so how long is it going to take you? I assume it's not going to take you decades. I assume it's probably not even going to take you a year, but you have to do diligent practicing. So the common interest that we all have is in self-healing. Self-healing has come a long, long ways over the last 40 years. Why? Because as we've evolved, we've become more aware of energy, and even intuition is more acceptable, is common compared to what it was 40 years ago. We are evolving. We are understanding that it's not just our intellect that we live through, whether we know we are consciously intuiting or not. That is very much a part of our lives. That's why you're here. That's why you felt drawn to us, however long ago it was that you came to us. The intuition, the inner guidance, 40, 50 years ago, you had to go seek it out. You had to go find that guru, that sage on the mountain, that person who didn't want to be found, and ask them, please train me. I want to study under you. It just wasn't common. Can you appreciate how it is way more common now? And it's not a big deal as it used to be. That's humans evolving. It's the direction that we're unfolding, that we're evolving to. That's so exciting for us. The things that I was told when I first got into this, and I went to a metaphysical school, and the teachers, one was, in case you've been in this field for a while or you've been following different people, you might know the channeled entity Cryon, Kryon. Well, one of the teachers of our school was the mentor and teacher, so to speak, of Cryon. Another, you may have heard about indigo children, or being a violet, or being a green aura. The other one was the woman who introduced that to the world. So these were, that's just two of the main teachers. And I say that to you because they were grounded and they were highly skilled. I would hear in just walking past one of them, "Oh, you're a healer." And I would raspberry them. I would go, I'm not a healer. And I would be so emphatic, like, I am not a healer. I need healing, if that's what you mean. And they would just like, just look at me and just walk away. I'm sharing this with you for a reason. I couldn't appreciate them telling me that. It just sounded too fantastical. Being a healer back then was, wow. As time went on and I received guides and mentors, fantastical things would happen. Like one of the examples I cite is someone who was well over 300 pounds and had fallen off a cliff and was scheduled to have her leg amputated. And her family called me and pleaded with me to go and just see what I could do. And I thought, what, okay, what do you want me to do? And they said, well, do what you do. And this was in the early 90s. And they warned me, now she doesn't believe in what you do, but we do. And she's willing to have you come. And I thought, oh God, here we go. And so I went into the hospital and to her room, and the family members who had called me and asked me to please see what I could do were there. I asked her if it was okay, and yeah. And I started to feel the energy and started to do treatment where I heard to do it. I wasn't touching her body because, first of all, I was in a hospital and I was so afraid of being in trouble by Western medicine. So I would deliberately not lay hands. And so I was working on her and she started to say, well, this is weird. I'm feeling pins and needles in my leg. And I said, oh, I was trying to make conversation. I said, oh, really? And I said, is that, what you've been feeling? She said, no, I'm not feeling anything. That's why they're going to amputate. She was so cranky. And of course she was fearful. Within 10 minutes, she kept exclaiming, oh my God, I'm feeling energy through, I think that's energy. And jumped to the end of 10 minutes, her leg was levitated. This heavy-set woman, her leg that she didn't feel anything, was levitated off the bed. And it was like this. It was like this. Like, here's the bed, and her leg was up like this. And it was just up there like this. And so everybody was in disbelief. And I was quietly talking to the leg saying, please go down. I was still in my fear. Now, I want you to just pay attention to this little journey I'm giving you of what I went through, because I was so afraid. Like, oh, like, don't make waves, don't do it. This can't be happening. And to make a longer story short, with this person, the doctors came after I left, and they decided that she did not need her leg amputated. So that's an example. I have other fantastical examples, like the woman who burned her skin. It was melting off of her wrist. I won't go into how that happened, but she didn't know what I did. And she happened to be a new housekeeper at our home. And so I thought, do you want healing? and I was like, okay, I don't know if I really want to do this. And I heard do it. Do it meaning offer. And she goes, well, what does that mean? I go, I won't be touching you. You'll just relax. And let's see what happens. I'll jump to the end result of that. Remember I said her skin was melted because she had burned herself that harshly, and her doctor said, this is going to take a year for you to recover. It's going to take surgery. We're going to have to graft skin. In 3 weeks' time, her skin was turned pink. Her regular skin. Now, how does that happen, right? How does that happen? With someone like me, who I started with, don't even call me that. I can't even, I got problems. I can't be a healer. I mean, so think about, what might you be saying to yourself? Can this be real? What might you be saying to yourself? Okay, maybe Nedrra can do it. Maybe Daerick can do it. But can I really do it? Yes, that's what I'm getting to. Because I have some examples of this along the first probably 22 years of my professional life, where I just kept going, I don't even know how this is working. And the more I try not to get involved in it, the more I feel the energy and just be with it and trust that it's going to do what it needs to do, the more effective it seemed to be. I was so excited because the things I went through, the fantastical and like, wow, that's a healer. It's not like that anymore. There's so many of us that are coming forward in their own way, with their own process, saying to the world, you can self-heal. So yes, I also want to answer the unspoken question. When we do groups, there's more required. When we work on other people other than ourselves, there's more required. But that's not what we're teaching you. We're teaching you, we're guiding you, we're encouraging you to just learn these simple statements that you've already heard, to when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel confused, when you feel different emotions that are overwhelming you, do the breathing exercise. Those two things alone can change your life. And the good news, the exciting news is it's going to continue to expand and be furthered. I know this to be true. I mean, aside from enlightened beings telling me that it's true. I love the younger generations and how much more real and grounded they are. That's all exciting to me and to us. The world we're in, yes, there's turmoil and there's anger and there's fear. As you continue to do your breathing exercises, to do your quantum healing statements, to do them for yourself, you have a greater and greater potential to realize inner peace and well-being for yourselves. And that's going to change the world. Yeah, there's other things that are going to change the world, but you're here with us, and that's what we do. That's our mission. That's what we're designed to provide to you. And I want you to breathe that in. I want you to allow yourself to consider that, this is not necessarily that I, meaning you, am a healer. I don't even call myself a healer. I call myself a healer facilitator, which is different. That I am a healer, but can I allow that I can heal myself? How does that work? Well, that's what we're in the process of doing, is evolving to understand that more and more and more and more. And the more you allow it versus, oh, I don't know about this, maybe she can do it. Maybe he can do it. But me, I got too many things going on in my life, or I got issues. Well, I had issues. I've had issues all my life, and it doesn't stop it. I've had anger. I could probably name a lot of emotions, but it has never stopped it. When I surrender and drop out of my mind, I'm not saying that your mind's a bad place, because I want to talk about that too, and how you can enlist your mind to do something other than problem solve, other than look for what's wrong with this, because that's what you probably designed it to do. The more you can allow this, the more you can focus on, this is a possibility, and I'm going to allow it. I mean, if that's what you want, of course. I'm going to assume that, since we're here together and talking about it. So allow it and do the work. Yeah, do the work, because it takes work. It does. It takes work. You're retraining yourself to look at life differently, to look at yourself differently. It can be fascinating, so fascinating. And instead of focusing on, but why am I so sick? Why am I so tired? Why am I so? Okay, we all, given this community, we all have these things that we don't really want to experience consciously in our lives. That's what you're learning to change. And it's going to take enlisting your mind to say, when I hear mind, when I hear me complaining, when I hear me feeling futile, when I hear me saying this is the way it's always been, it's never going to change, stop and correct that. And say, okay, like, how can you be honest with yourself? You can say, okay, maybe that was how I felt recently or in the past. If this is the opportunity that I can change it, I change it. I'm allowing it to change. How do I do that? Do my breathing exercise, do the healing statements until they become a muscle, a metaphoric muscle in your life. And that's going to happen. I'm the example. I'm not a Hollywood example, but I am an example. I just came from this place of, I'm not a healer. I need healing. Is that what you mean? I need healing. And they just would walk away. I'm just remembering way back in the early years when I was in disbelief that it was even a possibility that I might be a healer. I remember speaking to another person and asking them, how do you do it? I can't present myself this way. And I remember they said to me, fake it. Fake it till you make it. Gag me. Okay, I'll try it. and I just tripped all over myself. That's another, I'm giving you that, and I'm coming back to you in a minute. But I tripped all over myself. I felt horrible. Like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a healer. I'm a healer." Like, this is not working. I can't be this. I don't believe it. So I threw that advice away. And I just allowed myself to become more and more me. Now, in today's world, you don't have to pretend. And as a matter of fact, the world is searching and seeking for people who are authentic. And they have this innate ability to tune into that, right? You're searching for genuineness, authenticity. So you can trust yourself to do this for yourself. And even when people say, "What did you do?" It's okay to say in your own language. Don't use this that doesn't fit for you, but it's okay to say, I'm learning how to self-heal. It's called quantum healing. And if this is true for you, I'm not sure how it works, but it's working, and it's pretty easy. I just have to do the work, and I can feel my changes. That's going to happen, and it's probably already happened for you, because I see your names here, and some of you, it's been a while since I've seen you. And how is your world? How is your life different from months ago or years ago? It doesn't mean you're going to end up a Marvel character. Maybe you are, but it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you're going to end up in Hollywood. Maybe you are, but it doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. It's going to mean that you're going to find you more and more. Let yourself fall in love with who you are. There have been decades that I used to think, well, okay, I'm this healer facilitator and it's working, and I need to be authentic. Oh, I need to look a certain way. And that certain way had to be, for me, it was about weight. I need to be this X weight. And if I wasn't, then I'm not okay. How can I be this healer facilitator if I'm heavy? Whatever the dialogue is for you, become aware of it, appreciate it, and take some breathing exercises with it. The good news about today's world is we're more and more and more accepting of diversities. That's so wonderful. We have the blessing of having Mr. Daerick in this inaugural call.
The term that Nedra's used, of fantastical, it's been a fantastical journey for me. I came into it without knowing anything, without hearing spirit or hearing beings or seeing beings, or even very much in tune with my own intuition. I just came in knowing that I wanted more. And as many of you have read my story of, it started with Nedra showing me how to heal myself. Quantum healing that happened was the portal for me to see how amazing this work could be. And that's what drove me to want to learn more and want to study this and figure out how to do this for other people. And to go into training with Nedra. And I went into 5 years of training with her. It was pretty intense. And let me tell you, there's a few times we were not wanting to be together, more than a few times. It was so intense. The first 6 months of my training was all about healing myself, was all about learning how to heal myself. So those of you who are to want to learn more about this, to heal yourself, and that's the beginning. I learned how to tap into my intuition. I began to learn how to hear spirit or the enlightened beings. I began to learn how to see on occasion energy, and then feel it in others. And I share this all for you because Nedrra and I come to this from different places. She has fantastical experiences. She can tell her from being a small child and seeing and hearing spirit and having things happen throughout her life. I come from the opposite. I didn't have any of that. I sure wanted that. I sure dreamed about that, but I didn't have any of that. I kept asking for it. And through this work, I learned how to develop those senses, how to enhance those senses for myself, and so that I could help others. And it is so true that the more I've learned how to let go and just allow the energy to flow, the more fantastical it becomes. And it's not easy to do that. I've had to let go of layers of wanting to control it and wanting to, well, no, they're coming to me because they're in a lot of pain, and work on the pain, and let's try to focus on that. There was a lot of training on letting go to the point now where it is just calling in the healing statements and opening up that portal of energy, allowing that for myself and for our clients when we're doing a treatment. And it becomes more fantastical. My journey is far from over. And that always comes back to me. The guidance has always, every time, work on myself. If I want to be a better facilitator for others, work on myself more. What more can I let go of? What else am I holding on to? What other belief am I still in that I can let go? And every time I do, things get more, to use the word, fantastical. My life gets more amazing. Not that it's, doesn't have problems.
Yeah, can that be okay with you, community? That you become more aware? Because that's the journey. That's human evolution. We are evolving. We are becoming more aware. Let that be okay. Practice. What's different for me? What changes can you see? That's becoming self-aware. That's a practice that you can easily do. The challenge is doing it, because the mind will go, Lord, it's not all gone. That's the mind. We've conditioned our mind to look at what's wrong with this. What's the problem with this? What's not right? And I'm not saying that those aren't helpful skills. But in this training, we want to enlist our mind and say to our mind, okay, this is what we've been doing. Now I want you to seek and find what's different that's in the direction that I want more of. Literally instruct the mind, enlist the mind. Say to your mind, okay, we've been doing this. We're pretty good at this. I know how to complain. I know how to say, okay, well, it's 40% better, but I still have 60% left to go. Is that going to happen? And how long is it going to take? Like we've been doing this for 22 and a half days. Like the mind can do those things because we've developed the mind to do that. Problem solve, do these tasks. I can do those tasks. Okay, well, these are a new set of, call them tasks. What can you do in your languaging to yourself to enlist your mind to go, oh, you want me to do what? Just say to yourself, there's truth in there somewhere, and I want to see it. And my mind is the vehicle to see it. Use it. You just have to enlist it. We're learning this new way of healing and feeling in the flow, or what some might call the space versus the density. If we don't re-educate our mind to say, this is what we want this flow, what's true for you about this? But when we get in this flow of quietness, the mind could say, I'm bored. No problems, no crisis, no angst, no pain. I'm bored. If you hear that, and it might not be real loud, it might just say, oh, let's go have a drink. Oh, let's go shopping. Oh, let's cook another meal. We just had a meal an hour ago. Well, let's cook another one. Enlist your mind to recognize when your mind is going, okay, I'm bored with this, whatever this is, this flowy, happy thing that's quiet. Appreciate that. Give yourself grace, because you've had possibly a lifetime of having to deal with pain, of having to navigate through angst. You've developed armor. At the same time, a part of you is going, I'm tired of this. Isn't there another way? Yes. Yes. It's just that you've got to see it differently. Unless we train our minds to go, okay, we don't like this, but what do we want? And that's what you're doing. You're bringing your attention to what you want and furthering that. Put your attention on that. The patterns that we've had of what's wrong with this? What's the heavy energy? That's old conditioning. And in our evolutionary journey, as we evolve to become more, let's call it spacious humans, we're not going to be interested in that. But in this community and the purpose of why we're together, allow your mind to recognize, okay, we want this. Really? You want that? Yes. Yes. We want this. We don't want that. And actually have a conversation with yourself.
And to go on what Nedrra was sharing is, as you do change those patterns, the old things that you were attracted to, whatever they were, not just relationship, but the old ways, the old beliefs, the old thoughts, the old negative thoughts that you were attracted to. Maybe you're attracted to listening to the news all the time because that gives you the angst. Some part of you is wanting that angst, to see those things and start to change those patterns. And as you grow, as you work to change those, and as you use the healing statements and doing the breathing exercises, you start to not want those anymore, and you start to crave other things more in alignment with what you're wanting. We all have things that we're quote unquote addicted to, whether it is some sort of food, whether it is alcohol, whether it is hard relationships, whether it is complaining, whether it is being a victim, because the patterns can be so subtle. That's where the mind can be really helpful as well, to help you see the more subtle patterns, because as you clear something, there could be another layer that's more subtle, that takes a while to recognize that that's more of the same, just subtler. It's coming at me in a different direction. Oh, that's the same energy. Oh no, I don't want that either. I don't want that either. And for me, it has been subtler and subtler, and I've had to keep using my awareness, my mind, to recognize those and choose.
It might feel boring to do this exercise, but that's just a concept. I want to do the exercise because I don't want this old pattern. I want a pattern of flow and joy and being more deeply me in a way that inspires me to live life, not be depressed, not stay in bed, or whatever it is for you. I've given you a lot to think about, I hope. And I encourage you to write about it and how it might pertain to you. And see where it takes you. Because we're all on a journey. This really is human evolution. There's so much that's happening. And it should be an exciting time for us. Use that brilliant mind of yours and connect with your heart. I'm so honored that you joined us today. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.